What's going on, everybody? This is Jake from Game Domain, and today we are bringing you a very personal video which will not be objective at all, and you will not agree with most of it. And today we will actually be uploading two videos. This is Domain76's top 10 favorite games of all time, and earlier in the day, you may have seen J1 Ace Joe's top 10 games of all time. The reason we are uploading two big videos like this in one day is because it is around the 4-year anniversary of Game Domain. This week, in 2015, the first Game Domain video was uploaded, and we like to upload a big video for each anniversary. This was written by Domain76, who's the owner of Game Domain, and he will be ranking his top 10 favorite games of all time. Nostalgia is a big factor in this, and you'll be seeing a lot of Mario and Zelda games on the list. And a lot of personal stories about playing these games will be included. And P.S., I'm going to be reading this in the first person as Domain76, so hopefully that clears up any confusion. Enough of all that, let's get to some honorable mentions which will be in no particular order. Partners in Time. I'm going to keep all the honorable mentions brief, but Partners in Time is just one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's grindy and could get a little annoying, but the scenery you see and the crazy situations you are put in are just spectacular. Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Just two incredible RPGs with great humor, a fun battle system, and beautiful landscapes. The Last of Us. While the gameplay is really fun, that's not why it's on the list. The story that is told through Joel and Ellie is a spectacle of story design for any medium, which includes books and films as well. You get to see the progression of these characters and how they change. A must-play for anyone who likes stories in video games. Uncharted 4. Similar to The Last of Us, Uncharted 4 has a great story that has a little bit of everything: humor, drama, and everything in between. And this is truly one of the most beautiful games of all time. Just looking at this game makes it enjoyable, and the gameplay can be a little tedious at times, but it's always fun to go through these crazy set pieces that are just way over the top. Super Mario World. Not much to say about this, just the greatest 2D platformer of all time. Smash Bros. Ultimate. Again, not much to say. Smash Bros. Has long been one of my favorite series of all time, and Ultimate is my favorite out of all of them. Majora's Mask. While it isn't my favorite Zelda game, it is truly amazing what the developers were able to do in such a short development cycle. This is the darkest Zelda game, even darker than Twilight Princess. And the sense of urgency with the clock counting down as a way to keep you alert at all times, while there are only 4 dungeons, 3 out of the 4 are arguably in the top 10 Zelda dungeons of all time. Super Mario Maker 2. This game is just pure fun. You can make levels of your dreams and play ridiculous levels from millions of different creators. Pokemon Omega Ruby. Hands down my favorite Pokemon game. I've only played a few, and I never really have been a fan of Pokemon, but I just had a really good time experiencing this remake. The region, the story, just everything about it. Fallout New Vegas. We plan on doing a Games You Need or something like that on New Vegas soon, so I'll just explain it briefly. It gives you so much freedom to play the game how you want to play it, and the lore in this game is truly amazing. And finally, GTA 5. Amazing stories, a large sandbox, memorable characters, just a purely fun game with a ton to do.
Quick note, you may recognize that I'm not the same voiceover guy, and that's just because Jake was unavailable to record at this time, and we were in a rush to get this video finished. Jake will still voice most of this, but some parts of this video are being added in late, so I will be periodically reading some of the video, but Jake will still voice most of it. Mario Super Sluggers. Anyone that knows me knows that baseball is my favorite sport. Also, most people that know me know that Mario is my favorite gaming franchise, so when Nintendo made a game where Mario was playing baseball, I had to get it. And yes, I know there was one for the Gamecube, but I didn't have a Gamecube. And my friends and I used to play this game all the time, and it could get pretty competitive.
Now we're getting into the top 10, and number 10 is Red Dead Redemption 2. It may only be 10 on the list, but it is easily one of the best made games on the list. Even better than a lot that are coming up. That doesn't necessarily make it better, but I'll get to that later. We waited 5 years for Rockstar to make a new game, and with all the hype surrounding the original Red Dead in 2010, there were very high expectations, and luckily, Rockstar delivered. I have to start with the characters. No other game on the list even comes close to having better characters. By that, I mean the top 10 part of this list. Just the sheer amount of well-developed characters. And of course, Arthur Morgan, who I'm gonna say some spoilers now, so skip to this timestamp, bing, if you have not played Red Dead 2 yet. Depending on how honorable you were, or if you choose to go back for the money, you could get a couple different endings. I had good honor and chose not to go back for the money, so I got the ending where Arthur peacefully died while watching the sunrise. After spending around 100 hours getting to know Arthur through the entire campaign, I definitely felt some emotions watching this scene, even though it was pretty well speculated he wouldn't survive the entire game. Rockstar outdid themselves with this scene. And another sad scene just before this is when Arthur has to say goodbye to his horse. And you can't understand the emotions in this scene if you are not the one playing it. You just can't. If you're like me, you used the same horse through most of the campaign, and seeing him or her get shot and not have long left is sad enough. But what makes it more emotional is the way that Arthur calmly pets his horse and talks to his companion for the last time. I'm not even someone to get that emotionally invested in most video game stories, but Rockstar, round of applause to you. Now that the spoiler is over, I can go over some of the character traits that really shape up the story. So, Dutch Vanderlind, who is the leader of the gang, has a plan and just needs money. That just never gets old. And made an excellent meme, but what really happens to Dutch throughout the game is a changing mental state. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but he is a different person in the beginning of the game compared to the end. Arthur starts off as just sort of a generic chaotic cowboy, but he really changes as he loses someone close to him, and has some experiences that change his life. Now, I think I've gone over the characters a lot, and I don't want to spoil the story, so on to gameplay. This game is ridiculously realistic and has so much to do with the beautiful landscapes. Want to hunt for some food? You can do that. Just be ready to skin the animal and set up a campfire to cook. Want to hunt a bear for its pelt? It might be good to set up a trap with bait first. The attention to detail is on a whole different level in this game. And while it can be really fun to play cowboy and experience the realism, that is where some flaws come in. This map is huge, and your main source of transportation is a horse. While it's fun to get on your horse and ride around to various areas, it can get boring after riding for a while. Or, if you just feel like doing a mission, and you can fast travel using your map at your camp, or by taking a train. The trains just won't be around in certain areas. There are a lot of other problems with just too much realism, but it is vastly overshadowed by the amazing gameplay from start to finish, and unlike a lot of other games on this list, I only played Red Dead 2 when it first came out less than a year ago, so I don't really have much nostalgia for playing it. So the fact that it still made it onto this list just shows how spectacular it is, and probably means you will like the game more than a lot of the following games. Number 9. This entry is going to be rather brief as we've talked about it so many times before. It's Ocarina of Time. What is there to say that we haven't already said in a video? It is an amazing game through and through, and yeah, the controls and graphics are outdated, but that is to be expected by a 20-plus-year-old game. This introduced me to the series. I know a lot of you have probably heard enough about us talk about Ocarina of Time here on Game Domain, so I'm going to move on to number 8. Number 8, Super Mario Odyssey. Odyssey is what we were waiting for almost 7 years for from Nintendo. An amazing 3D Mario game. Not a new Super Mario Bros. Game with an extra dimension, but a truly amazing and breathtaking experience. The only gripe I have with this game is that it is very easy throughout the main story, and I'd like to have more of a challenge in a 3D Mario game. Nonetheless, this game is just pure fun. Not like something with Red Dead 2, where realism is meant to be a big part, and a lot of other factors. All Odyssey is just gameplay that is fun. Nothing else to worry about. Explore at your own pace, do missions that you want to do to get moons, mess around with various captures, use the huge range of moves to attempt for hours to do ridiculous stunts. Trust me when I say hours. That's not an exaggeration. While there will be more Mario games on this list ahead of Odyssey, none of them look as beautiful as Odyssey, and it's not even close. Whether you are going through a barren desert or a snowy tundra, every landscape looks impeccable. The soundtrack in Odyssey, while maybe not the best in the series, is still nothing to scoff at. Songs like Jump Up Superstar, the main theme, and the Wooded Kingdom theme are all songs worthy to be in the top 50 Mario songs of all time. That's how good they are. Number 7, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. This game, set in an area of vast and expansive sea, giving players a whole new taste from what they've been used to in previous games. Princess Zelda poses herself as Tetra, a pirate captain who is keen on helping the main protagonist Link in finding his sister who has been taken away. Journeying your way through many different seas and islands and meeting many different friends who help you along your quest. You then go through the normal core concepts of a Zelda game. Get the Master Sword, and go defeat Ganon to achieve your goal. Ganon is defeated and turned to stone by the blade of your Master Sword, and you are victorious. The credits roll, and you and your friends sail off to find new land. And gave it to us with completely different graphics, making the characters, and especially Link, look like cartoons. And while there was heavy criticism when this game was revealed, it looks good close to 2 decades later. Not many games can say that. One of the reasons I like Wind Waker better than Ocarina is the exploration feels much more rewarding. You have to sail around a magnificent ocean to find an island where you need to go. Something about arriving at that new island and seeing everything it has to offer makes Wind Waker that much better. Number 6, Super Mario 64 DS. Oh no, now here comes the opinion white knights. I can already see it. People are gonna say stuff like, oh, the controls are so much worse, the DS version is so much worse. Guess what? I don't care. This is my opinion, and 5-year-old me didn't really much care about how great the controls were. And even to this day, I find the controls passable. I admit, there's plenty of nostalgia here, but I wouldn't put it on the list if it was a bad game. We've gone over 64 in like 5 different videos at least! So, I'm not going to explain too much about it, similar to Ocarina, but I'm going to explain some of the improvements in the DS version. The in-game models just look better, even though they're more pixely. You get 3 additional characters being Luigi, Yoshi, and Wario, plus 30 additional stars.
And what can I say about the levels? They are just fun. Whether you're on the classic stage known as Bob-omb Battlefield fighting King Bob-omb, or going down a secret slide in the castle, this game just oozes creativity, and anyone who has played this game, especially as a kid, knows what I'm talking about.
Number 5, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. In my mind, this game, the first Mario & Luigi game, is the gold standard for the series. In this game, the brothers venture to the Bean Kingdom to fight Cackletta and Fawful, who stole Princess Peach's voice and replaced it with explosives. It was a departure from similar Mario games of the past. You could control the 2 brothers independently, or have them work together to perform special actions. It has a really rich storyline, I'll try not to spoil too much, in which you work with Bowser at times and battle Bowser at times, as well as Cackletta, Fawful, Popple, and more. The characters are all carefully built, and it's representative of the care given to every aspect of this game. There was such loving attention to detail, excellent cameos, and delightful self-aware humor. This is not a difficult game, well, besides the final boss, but it just has so much creativity just poured into it. I'd argue more than any other Mario & Luigi game that would come after that I believe that it is the best Mario & Luigi game, even though it is the first. And this is actually the first RPG I ever played, and I remember picking it up on the GBA Game Pack to play on my DS. And I could not put my DS down, and I loved the game so much, I used to go to different game stores just to try and find the sequel, Partners in Time, which was a pain to find, and the copy I got was the last one they had. In addition, I pre-ordered Inside Story, which was the first game I pre-ordered, because I loved the series stemming from the first game I played in it. The Legend of Zelda games have always been open world, but many people call Breath of the Wild the first open world Zelda game. Why is that? This game takes everything fans love about Hyrule and blew it up onto a bigger map than anything we've seen before. The world is so much more expansive than previous games, making every detail put into the game even more incredible. Every detail in this world is thought out. No matter if it is the sword of a guardian or a tiny piece of opal, you can climb up any cliff, as long as it's not too steep, and look down at the beautiful landscape that you have been indulging in. You can be playing this game for hours as you journey miles and miles, even without realizing time is passing. The game just pulls you in and keeps you. There are so many different choices to cook, with endless items to put into your heart-fulfilling meals. You meet all different creatures, good and bad, that each give you different items to be cooked or used for combat. Your main goal is to rid shrines of the demons Ganon has placed in them and purify Hyrule's villages and land in order to save the princess from her suffering. Each shrine houses unique puzzles that dig deep into your mind, and some even make you go crazy. You're supposed to climb many different Sheikah towers and receive more pieces to your map by placing your Sheikah slate into the device at the top, turning the landmarks from evil red into calm and purified blue. You also need to take back the 4 divine beasts, which have each been taken over by Ganon. As you make your way through the world to each of the divine beasts, you see familiar faces, and your memory from 100 years gets a little bit brighter each day. The backstories between Link and each of the 4 heroes is incredible, and shows us how much fun Nintendo truly wanted us to have. You still might be wondering what makes this game of the Year and why it has a 97 rating on Metacritic. This is because of how the world takes everything we know and love about Zelda and turns it into the series' finest entry. Just take your character and stop in a meadow of grass. Look around you. What do you see? Beauty. Everything is serene and peaceful. Whether you're in a plain of grass, the darkness of a cave, or the side of a cliff, this game will make you feel like you're at home. The soft music playing in the background, the sky is so vibrant, the animals happily frolicking around, and the different faces of the people you meet. This game was reason enough for me to buy a Switch day 1, even though I already had a Wii U. Number 3, Super Mario Galaxy 2. A sequel to the fan favorite Super Mario Galaxy. Galaxy 2 expands on and improves on a lot of the aspects from its predecessor. Galaxy 2 also offers many features and game adjustments that help frustrated or new gamers. Due to the game being increasingly difficult than Galaxy, Galaxy 2, like the original, is one of the most critically acclaimed games of all time, as it received 10 out of 10s across most of the gaming review sites and a 97 rating from Metacritic. And another incredible strong point of this game is, of course, its beautiful soundtrack. Galaxy 2 and Galaxy have arguably the greatest soundtracks of any Nintendo games. And since outer space is the main feature of the game, it really made the developers have fun with these soothing, peaceful, serene, and calming outer space themed tracks. In our opinion, Galaxy 2 has the better soundtrack than Galaxy, and it truly makes it feel like you are hopping around planets out in space. The game is fairly similar to its original, but there are certainly enough new and innovative aspects and features in the game that make it different and almost as good as the original. And these are just a few of the reasons as to why we have ranked it as the 5th best Super Mario game. Now, Galaxy 2, I may not have pre-ordered, but I remember going down to Kmart, yes, Kmart, it was 2010, and picking up a copy the day it came out and just playing it non-stop whenever I had the chance. And the reason I was such a big fan of 3D Mario games, even being as young as I was at the time, was because of the game we'll get to next. Super Mario Galaxy. I already explained what made Galaxy 2 great, which is all that makes Galaxy 1 great, but simply stated, I just enjoyed the game more. I just like the planets a lot more.
And while I won't explain more of the gameplay, Galaxy actually has a real story. Not a go save the princess story that we've seen 200 times. By occasionally going to the library, you will hear Rosalina's story of how she got where she is now. I can't convey the story's tone the way it's meant for the player to experience over video, so I highly suggest checking it out in Galaxy if you haven't yet.
Number 1. If you know me, you know what my number 1 is. I've explained why Super Paper Mario is my favorite game of all time so many times that I'm just gonna take what I wrote in the recent Mario RPG collab, which you should check out. This is a very, very unpopular opinion, and Super Paper Mario is not for everyone, but just hear me out. Super Paper Mario continued the paper style laid out by the other games in the series, but the similarities start to decrease from there. This game feels almost like a traditional Super Mario side-scroller, not so much the three-dimensional movement allowed by the other games in the series. Speaking of 3D, Super Paper Mario's distinctive gameplay mechanic, or one of the two, is your ability to switch back and forth between 2D and 3D, kind of like the transition between the two dimensions in Super Mario Odyssey to solve puzzles or avoid enemies. I liked it because I felt like I was seeing traditional Mario games from a new angle, and it often felt rewarding for making the switch to avoid enemies that would have definitely killed me in the past. The other mechanic was switching players. Each of the playable characters, Peach, Bowser, Luigi, and, well, Mario, has special traits that allow, and sometimes require you to switch between players to solve most of the problems or to clear areas. Most of the time, you'll probably stick with Mario, but having the ability to switch makes for a fun change of pace. It's a story-rich game as well, and that's a positive for me. But I have heard people complain about how much text there was to read and or click through, much like the Thousand-Year Door. I enjoyed the story, as I'm not the type to really enjoy just playing through a game. Remember when I said it's an unpopular opinion to say Super is better than the Paper Mario games? Well, what's not unpopular is saying that Super Paper Mario has the best story in any Mario game. And even better than a lot of other Nintendo games. Nintendo did something unique, and didn't just have cutscenes to explain what was going on. In between chapters, there would be text boxes that explained some of the events that occurred before the game. And if you're like many people, you may have just skipped through these. But if you are interested in the story, don't. Now, let's talk about the soundtrack. I'm gonna say it now, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I think Super Paper Mario has the best soundtrack out of any Mario RPG, and that's saying something. Just listen to the Gloam Valley theme, the Castle Bleck theme, the Sammer's Kingdom theme, the Robot Battle theme, and especially the Ultimate Show. The songs mesh modern Mario music with retro-style music, and they could not have done it much better. Time to talk about all the secrets and optional content. There are 4 extra pixels you can unlock that aren't needed to beat the game, but do have benefits such as a barrier and running faster. There are 2 pits of 100 trials, one in Flipside and one in Flopside. For a relatively easy game, these will test your patience. You have to go through 100 different rooms of enemies, find a key, then move on in a limited amount of time. Outside of that, there are arcade machines, enemy cards, stories, and more. Super Paper Mario represents the old and the new in Mario games. The blocky characters mixed with the more modern-looking characters, the retro modern music, and the 2D gameplay and 3D gameplay. This game is just amazing. So please, please give it a try if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching this ranking video, and if you enjoyed, please like this video, subscribe, and maybe even check out our Discord. Also, be sure to watch J1 Ace Joe's top 10 list that premiered earlier today. Thanks for watching. Peace!